Charles Leclerc has gone through the full range of human emotion this season. After 3 races, he was jubilant. His F175 was fast, at least as fast as Max Verstappen's RB18, and he had a huge early lead in the Drivers' Championship. Now though, he looks dejected and defeated after every fresh mistake made by the Ferrari team, and trust me, there are a lot of them. Recently, the Ferrari management have become more vocal about the team's performance this season, and have given their verdict on team boss Mattia Binotto. Stick around to find out what they have to say about Mattia, and whether they're right to say what they have. As the sport's oldest and most successful team, the only ones present since the championship started in 1950, there is a lot expected of Ferrari. This year, they were aiming to win a championship, drivers or constructors, something they've not done since 2008. They made a strong start this season, with Charles Leclerc winning 2 of the first 3 races, but have since suffered a string of strategic errors, driver mistakes and mechanical failures. Leclerc now sits second, but 116 points behind Red Bull's Max Verstappen with 6 races remaining. Teammate Carlos Sainz is 5th and 32 points adrift for the Monegasque. Ferrari's decline has been well documented and analysed this season, but the reason for their loss to Red Bull isn't as simple as the Ferrari pit wall being clowns, though the memes are pretty funny. There have been deficiencies across the team this year that have hamstrung their drivers and made winning a championship impossible. You could look at the engine reliability issues that plagued them before the summer break, but now appear to be resolved. There is some argument over whether they've actually fixed the problem or just turned down the engine settings, but that's for another day. Maybe you want to point to the faltering development of the car. They've lost lap time to Red Bull throughout the season, and now even Mercedes are challenging them on a race day. You could look at the pit wall and the strategy errors that have been hilariously bad at times. Mattia has defended his team throughout the media inquisitions that rightfully happen after every failure, which was admirable to begin with before slipping into the realms of incompetence. Or perhaps you want to put it down to the fact that Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz are not as good as Max Verstappen, and Red Bull winning both championships would have happened without Ferrari's issues. Fair enough, that's probably true as well. You would think after everything that Ferrari have gone through this season that the management would be lining up a new leader for the team next year. Well, that isn't the case. Ferrari have great faith in team boss Mattia Binotto and will be Formula 1 champions by 2026, company president John Elkann said. "We have great faith in Mattia Binotto and appreciate everything he and all our engineers have done," he told the Gazzetta dello Sport ahead of Ferrari's home Italian Grand Prix at Monza. But there is no doubt that the work in Maranello, in the garage, on the pit wall and at the wheel needs to improve. We must continue to make progress, and that goes for the mechanics, the engineers, the drivers, and obviously the entire management team, including the team principal. Just because the buck ultimately stops with the boss doesn't mean the answer is to fire him, as Elkann says. It's ultimately his responsibility to fix the problems, but it should be seen in its correct context of a work in progress. Firing good people in reaction to problems was the old way of doing things at Ferrari and proved disastrous. Throwing everything up in the air and starting again from scratch is very rarely as effective as retaining stability and working with the people to understand and eradicate the problems, especially when very clear progress has been made elsewhere. John Elkann continued by saying, "We have seen that there are still too many mistakes when it comes to reliability, driving and strategy. Putting our trust in Binotto and his team was the right decision and it has paid off. Thanks to them, we are competitive and winning again. But I'm not satisfied because I think we can always do better." The Ferrari management are clearly happy with how Binotto is managing the situation internally, and though this season may not have been perfect, you can see the encouraging signs. Binotto has overseen the creation of F1's fastest car this season, from a team which for years has struggled to do that. I know you want to argue that Red Bull is faster, but for the vast majority of the season, over one lap, Ferrari have been faster. He'd briefly managed to do this as a technical director in 2017 and 18 as well, after over a decade of never being at the cutting edge, though there is still a discussion to be had over just how illegal that car was. Creating the fastest car is by far the most difficult part of Formula 1, and he's now twice led the team into doing exactly that, first as a technical boss and now as the overall boss. What's more, it's been done with real creativity, by following its own technical path quite different to that prevailing elsewhere. Binotto has done this by building up the people already there, creating the environment in which they didn't fear the consequences of failure. Yes, the race team clearly still has problems, but the way of eliminating them is through stability over a number of years, protecting the people doing the work, identifying the root of the problem, and attacking that as a group rather than the person. In their interviews, you can see the team rallying around him as well and embracing this new way of working. French engineer Laurent Mekies, who's currently working as assistant team principal and race director for Scuderia Ferrari, admitted that the Maranello team is aware of the many mistakes made during the 2022 Formula 1 season, but at the same time pointed out that they are accepting the errors as part of an ongoing strengthening process. If you look at Sundays, we've had a few races where we didn't have the right pace, but it was not the majority of them. We have had a few reliability issues, and we have made a few mistakes. If you add all of that, it's simply telling us that we've made great steps forward this year with a faster car. But we need more work to be stronger all around, and that's what we're working on. It's not the quickest thing to do, but we are, in the same way that we got where we are, trying to have the same approach to get the next steps that we still need, Mekies explained. Making mistakes shouldn't be terminal in Formula 1. The Red Bull team have made mistakes this season, but it hasn't led to mass firings. They designed and produced a new floor that isn't as good as their old one, but due to cost cap issues, they can't now produce the old one. Sergio Perez is stuck with this new, less effective floor until the end of the season now. In the same way that Perez isn't shouting in the media about it, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc aren't either, as Laurent goes on to say. The team is incredibly united. We've had quite a few stress tests, but Mattia, Charles and Carlos, they're incredible leaders, and they're 100% committed in their heart, especially to making sure that everybody keeps pulling in the same direction. It isn't just the team management speaking like this either, it's everyone on the team. Carlos Sainz admits that he has struggled this season and that has been hard for him, but he can see how the team can move forward. I found it very frustrating that after so many good years in Formula 1, I come into my first year having a competitive car, and it's the car that I struggle the most with driving. He followed this by pointing out the bright side of his tough season. What makes me the happiest of all is that it looks like the team has turned a corner in terms of pure raw performance. And this year, we've had a great car, added Sainz. We've had great opportunities to win races. The team is back to being competitive, and I know if I get myself at the level I can be, which recently has been a lot closer, then there are going to be a lot of opportunities in the future. Leclerc, as the driver who has seen his title bid fall away due to Ferrari's issues, was asked recently about the difficulty in dealing with the rumours that Mattia Binotto or another member of the team may get fired. There are always rumours around a Formula 1 team, and especially with Ferrari, Leclerc told the media about the situation. I think what is most important in those moments is not to get distracted with whatever is being said around. We are very united as a team, and I think we need to keep on going like this. Leclerc continued to point out Ferrari's rise in performance compared to 2021, a winless season for the Scuderia, and said the overall momentum of the team is going in the right direction. We've shown we've been great from last year to this year doing this type of performance, he said. We need to keep working in that direction. Mattia Binotto also backed his whole team recently. In an interview, he said that Ferrari is a new company now. They aren't doing things the old-fashioned way anymore. We do not need to change people, but we certainly need to change some things. The way we are communicating, the way we're getting to the process of making our decisions, changes are required. Adding value may be necessary, adding people as well. But changing people is not a path I want to go through. That's an old way of addressing issues. As fans and followers of the sport, it's always exciting hearing about who may or may not get fired and discussing who's going to replace them. But for the teams, that doesn't seem to be the best way to work. Ferrari are in a new era of their Formula 1 history, and it looks like Mattia Binotto is here to stay for the long haul. Do you think Ferrari is right to stick with Mattia, or would they be better off sacking him and finding someone better? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.